Hello everyone, it's me again, Professor Harding. Sorry if I seem a little out of sorts at the moment, if my voice sounds off or if I completely forget anything. I also apologise for the lateness of this broadcast. I'm still somewhat hungover from the memorial celebration. Uh, so there we are. So, I know I often send people a lot of notes written up, just to let them know how things are going on. And I think you've all waited long enough for this message that we will just go through it here, for the most part, see if that works well going forward. Where's my notes? Yes, it's been a year. Uh, I think it's safe to say that despite all the problems that we've had, the people that we've lost, those that should be remembered, obviously, that I am exceptionally proud of the human spirit and the tenacity of the people of this land for what we've achieved so far, and our persistence in spite of the threats that surround us. Really, the unseen agents that seem to be the agents of our misfortune. But yes, the celebration was exceptional. Lots of very impressive cannon fire, and safe to say for those of you who do not live in Stilford or Minton that the no actual shot was fired, so you shouldn't be expecting a unexpected meteor shower of cannonballs and muskets. What else do we have here? Speaking of Lord Fairfax's regiment, it seems that an old underground lab has been found with some useful computers and other such devices, solid state drives, information that we'd chiefly thought lost, that will be incredibly useful for helping getting the power station fully up and running. So do keep an eye out for that. Hopefully we should be progressing quite quickly in that regard now. Like I say, the lack of high spirits that we've seen over the last few months with the Western Association has ended now. It seems like the memorial was just the right kind of break and the right cathartic loosing of energy to bring spirits back up, which is obviously exactly what everyone needs. But I certainly had previously to this been hearing rumbles and grumbles from Minutemen and a few members of the regiment who will go unnamed. Yes, we also have efforts on the Greenbelt for a combination of the Vale again, Lord Fairfax's regiment, the Steaders and the Hospitalers. Lots of replanting and taking cuttings of, for what the most part seem to be much less violent growths, and spreading them more around the area of the Greenbelt in order to facilitate growth in certain areas, leading to an overall increase in fertility everywhere. I'm sure some of you, especially those who have been travelling around to the markets and other trading posts, have seen a huge increase in the available fresh produce and improved health of any livestock that have been available. again, it seems to have been a very positive month since we last spoke. Speaking of trade and transport, uh, it seems that several of our groups amongst the wasteland have been working together to create a roving school, one that will not be a specific enclosed location that may be attacked by, I hate to use the term, but nano terrorists, or certainly nano terroristic action. Uh, I recommend speaking to the Knights Hospitaller, the Vale, and the Steaders if you're interested in getting either involved or benefiting from this school. For the most part, at the moment, I think we have a number of farmers as well as trained medical teachers who have been travelling on the small sort of growing circuit of trade at the moment. So if you do see them in your local area, please do express interest. Obviously, we can all benefit from this immensely. I please don't excuse my muted temperament for lack of excitement. We are having somewhat of an exceptional month, really. It seems that very few things have actually gone especially wrong. We've seen a lot of defences being put up along the riverbanks in order to protect from river mutant attacks, with the newly minted Night Hospitallers travelling nearby, obviously on their vehicles, to help assist with speed and mobility, fending off these these rare but increasingly more common attacks, stripping them into smaller to deal with packs before finishing them off or leading them off on a merry chase away from those who they might hurt. I think that seems to be going quite well. It's certainly, numbers are being whittled down, and only time will tell if the breeding rates of these creatures outweigh the efforts to culling them as going. Speaking of the Hospitallers, less of the Knights Hospitallers, more of the actual scientists. I've spoken to a number of researchers within their ranks who have informed me that a computer has been designed that will allow them to, for the most part, one way communicate with nanomachines. From what was explained to me, a lot of the nanomachines that are present in the mutants in the wasteland at the moment are less sophisticated than perhaps the ones that caused the problem with the C4 transmutation in the school project. So potentially we have an avenue for manipulating these dumb nanites to perhaps use them to combat them in some way. Now, obviously, these sort of things will never be foolproof. We can never really say for certain whether these things will be able to be bypassed by someone with more intricate knowledge or higher levels of administrative access to the computational processes of these nanites. But it's an exceptional start, and certainly something that we can start using for our benefit, provided that no one dangerous gets hold of this technology, obviously. Speaking of dangerous technology, an individual was found dead outside of a settlement this month. No indication of who they were. Certainly no one recognised them. We're currently circulating images of this individual to see if anyone can recognise them. But we have noticed a more delicate style of cybernetic enhancement than what we or you may be used to from the individuals within the cybrid. Individuals within the cybrid with weaponry almost built in and hidden under a synthetic skin sheath. Certainly much more delicate, much more subtle augmentation than we've seen from the Cybrid Vigor or the Org Muties in the mountains. The battle between the Mountain Muties and the Cybrid Vigor obviously still continues. Yes, it seems to be a problem that isn't going to resolve itself anytime soon, with losses and victories on both sides. We have seen an increased number of individuals travelling around between the settlements, presumably via use of the relatively safe roadways that we have now. Very few people seem to be settling. It just seems to be a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people travelling. I can only assume where we've been living in quite an isolated pockets that these individuals are now seeking to spend more time spreading themselves out, which is potentially good, provided that nothing untowards is on the cards. Yes. As I said before, the Vale have been working with a number of other groups in order to help with this rolling school project. We are also aware that they have been reorganising themselves quite dramatically, where they now have an increased number of individuals who have been joining their settlement. These older, original, I don't really like to use the term original, but sort of more present individuals, people who've been around longer within the Vale, who are more comfortable with the culture of it, have been moving away from the direct day to day and spending more time helping with the organisation. As I'm sure you're all aware, over the last year, the Vale have been increasingly putting themselves in a very organisational place, able to send and lead others quite significantly. So hopefully with this in hand, we're going to be seeing a lot more organisation across our community as a whole. We are aware that masked agents of the Nameless, as I'm sure many of you have either met personally or seen the video, have been travelling around the wasteland, assisting where they can, whether with manual labour or helping with more physical pursuits, assisting with matters of defence, occasionally teaching. But again, you wouldn't really be able to miss them. They all wear the robotic face masks. But they have been seen almost, very much in every settlement that people are allowed in or out of, which is exceptional for everyone involved. We're now reaching about 15 minutes of me just talking, whittering on with a hangover. So I think I'll call it to a close there. I'd like your feedback to see whether this worked better than previous iterations of these calls. Less paperwork, more I don't want to say face to face, but certainly more interactive information. But yes, as always, I'm Professor Harding. Happy 1 year anniversary. And as always, stay safe, check your food, check your water, wash your hands, and I'll see you in the wasteland.